Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the first ever episode of VariaSci production. And today I'm showing y'all Darkwave Studio because there's like no English tutorials for it. So I'm going to create the first one. And we're just going to hop right into it. Darkwave Studio is a DAW. Uh, it's a digital audio workshop, and it's what I used for the past two songs I uploaded. So as you can see, if you look up here, there's 5 tabs. There's the studio tab, the pattern editor, the sequence editor, the HD recorder, and the project info. Project info is essentially Microsoft Notepad, and it's useless as far as I care. The HD recorder is used for recording audio, and you know what? We'll get into all of them in a minute. But I'm going to start with the studio tab. So the studio tab is where you put all of your instruments and stuff, and and effects, I should say, instead of stuff. And I'm going to show you what comes with it. There's all these things. Everything in this native thing comes with it. The VST stuff you have to download. So I'm going to start by showing you how these things work by putting down this degenerate one. This is how the instruments pretty much work. You connect it to the audio output, and actually I forgot to do something. So I need to disconnect that, and I need to put down an HD recorder, because if you don't do that, then you can't record your audio if you want to do that. So this is the pattern editor now. I'm sorry, I'm going faster than I'm actually talking. So what I've done here is I've taken the line out from the ESD generate, and I dragged it to the line in on the ESHD recorder track, and I took the line out from that and put it into the audio output. All the audio output does is let you hear it. So if I hit add a new pattern and make it much smaller, we'll make it something simple. We'll just go something like that. So it's just bass, snare, bass, snare. And I can loop that by clicking this loop button over here. And I can stop it. On top of that, I can add another pattern if I want to, and you can see this is now pattern 2, and there's pattern 1 from earlier. I can go back to pattern 2 and delete it, and it'll bring me back to pattern 1. I can also press this one, which lets me copy the pattern, but we don't need two of the same pattern. So this is what we got so far. Now, I'm going to show you everything else that comes in this native tab here. ES anti-alignance. I actually don't know what this one does. Just looking at it, I can tell it's some sort of effect. I don't really know how it works. I haven't used it. But it's an arpeggiator, which is a type of thing with control-ins, which actually I should explain how control-ins work. I'll explain it in a minute. Audio input. You can only have one audio input in Darkwave. That's why I'm not recording my microphone through Darkwave. But you can have there's only one, so I'd recommend getting a different thing to record external audio. That's what audio input does. Bass head are both bass synthesizers. Control monitor lets you monitor your MIDI controller if you have one. The control change mapper, I really don't know what that does. ES crunch is an effect. Degenerate is what we're using for the drums. Distort is an effect. The recorder tracks help make the make the recorder actually work, which we'll get to in a minute. And there's a mono and a stereo one. The MIDI input lets you MIDI input or MIDI output are quite self-explanatory. If you have a MIDI controller, and I'm actually going to put a MIDI input down. I don't have a controller on me, but as you can see, there's a control output from it, and you would connect that to a control input if you had a controller, which I recommend you do get one. ES Mixer is basically you put a bunch of tracks into it, then you can change the volume and the EQ a little bit. Quad delay is like a delay. It's supposed to be a delay effect. Scope, I don't really know what that does. Spatial verb is a reverb. Stereo joiner and stereo splitter are quite self-explanatory. Stereo joiner, if you have like something that pans a lot, like I know some of the synthesizers that I have, they pan one side and then the other with the delay, but you can join those two together. And splitter does the exact opposite. And stomp, I believe, is another effect, and I am correct in that. And just for the heck of it, oh wait, never mind. This is not an effect. There's a control in and a line out. I don't really know what this does. Might have to play with it some other time. I haven't played with everything in here. I should say that as well. But I will put down the. Let's just do the distort one. I don't know why there's really a control in for that, but we take the line out, put in the line in, line out, line in, and you can hear if I go into show custom GUI, I can change it. So as I was saying, just to reiterate, this is default GUI here that makes everything into sliders, or you can do custom GUI and it makes everything look like that. There's also a GUI for degenerate, and I could go through and edit some of the things, but quite frankly, it works exactly the same way. You just turn these knobs and it changes what it says. There's not too much to explain for that. And we talked about the pattern editor. Actually, let's go back to here for a minute. So the only instruments that really come on this are the bass head and the degenerate. So you're going to want to download some VST instruments. So I'm going to put down, I don't know, let's just put down the forefront bass. It's not actually a bass synthesizer, it's like a real bass emulator type thing. And I'm going to make a pattern for that. So if I go to my this here lets you select your instrument. So I was on degenerate a minute ago. I'll just go to forefront bass, add a new pattern. I don't know, I'll just do, that's high pitched. When it gets high pitched, it doesn't sound like a real bass, but that sounds real. So I don't know, I'll just do something like, okay, so the way the pattern editor works, I should explain a bit more. You can move notes up and down by moving the mouse up and down, and you can make them longer or shorter, like by going near the edges. And you can change the pitch by moving up and down. But I made this simple pattern here. And now I'm just going to show you what the sequence editor does, which the sequence editor lets you add your patterns in. So I can add a few of these and I'm going to make this about 10 long. And the bass pattern I can put down. And as you can see, each dot here is equal to 1 pattern length. So you can have 16th notes, and that's about it. And this is basically what I've created. Okay, so you can't hear the bass really at all, so I'm just going to go into degenerate real quick and just turn this level down a lot. Let's see how that sounds. Alright, that sounds fine. But that's how the sequence editor works, and you can have pretty much an infinite number of instruments coming from the pattern editor. And the next thing you could do is record it, and recording works a little bit weird, but basically you click select file to save to, and you could put it anywhere. So you could put it in your music folder, and you would just call it whatever you want. I'm going to call this tutorial, hit save, and if I go over here and click record song, and then click save again as tutorial, and click yes, it should be saved, which I will double check right now by going to my music and click on this. I recorded that whole 7 seconds of audio. And that's basically how you use Darkwave Studio. And that's really all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more tutorials. I'm sure I will be doing more tutorials on all of the different VSTs I have, maybe some of the other effects if you guys want to see that, or possibly alternatives to the effects, because honestly most of the effects in here suck. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.